Yes, we've grown a lot. And, that's a different pressure. A year ago,
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Runway to Success. We are so excited. We have with us today Suresh from Jets MRO. We've got some good questions we're going to ask him. He said to put him in the hot seat, so we're going to do our best to do just that today.
Awesome. So, Suresh, for those of you that don't know, or for those that don't know, can you talk a little bit about your background, like what really has shaped your career to this point, and how growing up around aviation as a child all the way through your adult years really led you to kind of starting just something that's really unique with Jets MRO?
yeah, I think I was brainwashed early. I didn't have a choice but to be in aviation. So born and raised in Miami. My dad was a Concorde mechanic. He had a repair station. In the summers, I would go to his repair station and just be around the Part 145 MRO environment. My oldest brother, Raj, started an engineering company in Dallas that I worked with him to grow. I'm a pilot too. So it's been around aviation a long time, but I probably didn't appreciate it till recently. And so after, I went to Florida State undergrad. I was kind of having the best time of my life in undergrad, expecting to go back and work for my dad's business after. And this was about 2003, 2004. But after 9/11, the commercial aviation industry was pretty bad. And he decided to actually, I got a call one day saying, I'm going to shut the business down and, retire early and we're kind of done with it. I go, well, hold on. I was banking on a job. And so then I came to Dallas and, I did grad school at SMU, studied entrepreneurship, finance, and strategy. But right before I started, my brother had this cool idea in the engineering tech ops space to take a lot of commercial engineering practices and help the business jet operators of the world that started operating these personal jets like airlines be more self-sufficient with engineering and tech ops. So we grew a company called AQRD together. A lot of people know us because we also owned and operated two beach starships, but grew that business from pretty much scratch to a pretty decent sized firm that does a lot of big things for a lot of big operators. He still runs and owns the business till this day and is a big part of our success at Jets MRO. And it's great having that resource. And then I went on to be an operator, and then I got so mad at scheduled maintenance and not being able to get planes out on time. And then I decided to start Jets MRO, raise capital, and scale a professional maintenance company that gets planes out on time and focuses on a couple aircraft and does them well versus what the industry has done is be too generic and it's really fragmented. So no one's done a good job of scaling it. So that's how we got from infancy to today.
So you had to pivot. It sounds like you had this plan going to Florida State. You're going to get into the family business, and then life took you on a different journey. What would you say from working the business with your brother have you taken and applied forward with Jets MRO today? What lessons have you taken with you?
I think the work ethic, my oldest brother's a really hard worker and never quits. And then the technical side. So I learned from, still to this day, I don't know anyone smarter than him at certification, technical expertise, material science. I mean, I got to be around and really smart people and programs, and that helped me like get our certification here from scratch. And then obviously having the relationship was awesome too, being able to call him for help when I'm starting something from scratch. But I would say the technical expertise, and it was just fun. I probably took it for granted, but growing a company with my brother was so much fun. We had so many stories. At the time, you don't appreciate it because everything's a fire. And so I'm trying to learn how to appreciate that every day can sometimes be a punch in the face in a new business or a growing business. But you should look back and say, that's pretty cool what you built and have some fun on the way.
So you talk about getting punched in the face as an entrepreneur, a business owner. You even had a recent LinkedIn post that talked about around some of the challenges that maybe you faced coming into the industry, wanting to do things different. Maybe some of the we'll call it old teams in the marketplace have done things a certain way. As you've opened Jets MRO, what has been the biggest challenge that you faced as a leader, an entrepreneur, a business owner?
There's a challenge every day. I mean, it literally feels like getting punched in the face growing a business. And I've done it before. And I'm like, oh, I'll be ready for it this time. It won't be as bad. Every day I've gone home late nights being like, damn it, it's always harder than you think. It's probably being in the gym and thinking you can do 10 reps of something, but on the 20th rep, you're like, can I go any more? And you got to always find that next level. I mean, it's just hard in so many different ways. It's never like one big problem. One of our challenges in our industry and family, we've always challenged norms. In aviation, I really think people do things because it's the way they've done it before, and there isn't a great environment to try new things, truly disrupt, especially in maintenance, which is, pretty old school type industry. And so I always look for ways of doing things different. Like at Jets MRO, I'm not reinventing maintenance. I just think there was a lack of focus on mechanics and how they should be treated. And, a lot of other industries have really gotten this right with putting people first. I think our industry was just lagging behind. And so I said, let me start a business that really puts the mechanic first and double down on it. And if we do that, we can produce a better aircraft on time. And that's a simple change we're trying to do. But in terms of the challenges, it's every day. Last year, this year, we didn't have an FAA cert, didn't have our new facilities. And so I'm like, oh my goodness, we're never going to get our FAA cert or never do work. This year it's okay, the whole machine's built. So I have that stress now. How do we get the word out and get folks to understand what aircraft we work on and get more planes here? Next month there'll be something else. But I mean, you guys know, starting a business, everyone wants to do it. And one of the things I just learned, especially when I'm hiring and growing a team, is everyone loves the idea of a growing business from the beginning and being part of that. They think it sounds amazing, it excites people. And the catch 22, the underbelly is they don't understand that it's a lot more, it's a lot harder job, it's a lot harder work. Processes aren't defined. There's things not just ready for you to pick up and how we do things. It's a lot of like, I don't know how to do that. And it's actually a lot harder for team members to be a part of that if they're not built for it. And I've learned that not all teammates are built for it, but it sounds really good up front. And so that's probably one of the biggest things I've learned recently is everyone was like, I love growth. I want to be part of something from the beginning. And then they're in it going, oh my goodness, it's so much harder than I thought.
Yeah, we can definitely relate to that. I think it's a little bit of organized chaos is sometimes how it feels. It's like we know where we're going, but we're building the plane while we're flying it. So for you, how have you adjusted then maybe your screening process or your interview process to help better identify the people who have the work ethic or the resilience or just the passion for building something from scratch?
So we've changed our recruiting process recently. Mechanics are the heart of this business. So I do all the initial calls with every applicant. I do all the initial screening. And part of that is if we're going to be different and be awesome at recruiting, which is our biggest strength, and I would argue most other businesses, toughest challenges, they're always like labor, labor, labor. We're good on that. Now we're newer, and I get that we have some advantages there. But things we do different is I'm talking to every applicant as our first touch point for the business. And how many people in their interview process hear from the founder? And I tell them why we start the business. It's really put the mechanic first, but I go, let me not just say that. Let me show you how we do it. We do free family benefits day one for every employee. I go, you can have 30 children or zero. It's free. You free plans, no forced overtime, no on call, because I know the environment they come from is a total opposite. So just go home when you go home. But if you want overtime, you can sign up for it. We staff it 7 days a week. So there's no push for the weekends if we're behind. There's weekend folks here. Every aircraft gets touched every day. And those are like I go, those are the objective ways I can tell you we put people first. And then the subjective ways are look, we have all team meetings every month. We have surveys. We have all these feedback loops because what I did last month is old by the next month. So I got to keep listening, and that's how we kind of separate ourselves and did it different than I've seen it done in the past.
Well, so when it comes to leadership in a new organization, I mean, you highlighted some of the messiness that's at the beginning, right? As you're scaling and growing, there's always going to be those new challenges. But your time at AQRD, your time leading JSX, how would you say though those past experiences have really shaped your leadership for your organization?
I think just experience, right? Just going through all kinds of fires every day. The more fires you go through, the easier it gets. So, like 10 years ago, I probably have dealt with 100 challenges. By now, it could be tens of thousands of the most weird situations you could not even imagine in a business or having a small team into a big team. You just repetition. You see enough of it, then you have a frame of reference. But I think it also you build values, right? Like my values are always don't be the smartest person in the room. Things I've learned is don't try to say or imply you know something, which I think aviation is really bad at. Everyone wants to sound really smart and say they know everything about everything. I know a little about some things and not a lot about other things, but I try to bring people around me that know those things. That's really helped us grow. So I think it's being humble and vulnerable and just looking at things I didn't like from folks around me or where I thought other operations could do better, and then trying to build that into my discipline and being open-minded about it has really helped me because there's so much more to learn. I'll never know it all. And so I think just the appreciation for people and keep doubling down on people and team, I think is the biggest thing I keep learning and looking back at. One of my biggest principles is I know if I build the right people around me, we can tackle any challenge and I'll deal with the results.
Do you feel like, because you've dabbled in M&A, correct? You've done some mergers and acquisitions in your career as well.
I did. I had like a little sabbatical in between one of my transitions where I started advising companies and acquiring businesses. I looked at acquiring them myself as a sponsor and getting to that work because I thought it was super cool. And I related to a lot of owners who ran their businesses in aviation about how they may have a succession plan or want to exit. But, typical financial acquirers were big turnoffs for them and it was a difficult process. I go, I can really bridge that because I'm one of them, but I know the finance side, and that was a fun. And I still do it today. I do a lot of advising, and it keeps my pulse on what other people are doing. I learn a lot through the process, and it's a super fun part of the industry that I wasn't part of or didn't even think about 5, 6 years ago.
Well, I'm curious because you do dabbling in M&A and you just mentioned working to surround yourself with the right people, right? Recognizing that you don't know everything, you still have a lot to learn. I'm curious with the exposure that you've given to yourself by getting into M&A, do you feel like that's helped shape your vision for Jets MRO a little bit? Has that impacted your path at all?
I think yes, because I get to see everyone else's problems. And so when I look at challenges like in BizJet and people are like, why'd you pick BizJet versus commercial or defense that I have exposure to? I'm like, look, from what I'm seeing in BizJet, it's super fragmented, but people need so much more maintenance support as they have access to these private aircraft far more. And now people can book them within hours like an Uber. And so utilization rates go up. And I'm seeing this, but the MRO capacity didn't grow. I'm like, it's going to be hard to build a new brand in that space. It's highly relationship based, it's highly fragmented, so there's different challenges. But I'm like, I know 10 years from now, I'm going to regret it if I don't do it because somebody needs to help bring not just a different flavor, but more capacity into the market. So it really helped me see the challenges. A lot of businesses have the same challenges. I mean, there weren't like, but I learned a lot of good things and bad things. A lot of entrepreneurial owner-run businesses are really dependent on the owner. I didn't want to be that. I asked the question today in a leadership meeting: "What do you guys do if I disappear tomorrow?" And they had a pretty damn good plan. And we're a pretty young company, and so I've learned that old school way where the owner operator is like the man is actually bad for business, their team in the future.
And so 2025 has already been pretty monumental for Jets MRO. I mean, you mentioned earlier kind of getting your FAA certification, but there's a lot more to that than just getting it right. I mean, you've got your Part 145 repair station certification, you've got your engine repair certification, and you've tripled the size of your team all in the first, I think, 8 months of the years. Am I on track right there?
Yes, we've grown a lot. That's a different pressure. A year ago, when you have lower cost, you're in a more comfortable zone. And I learned a really tough lesson. And so you guys get some insider information here. Is I always loved the ability, and in previous businesses I've done this, is like get the sales in while you're growing the capacity. And that's something I learned wasn't a good fit for this company because we kind of oversold our capacity or jobs turned bigger because we weren't ready for them because we didn't specialize in a platform. And we went through a lot of lumps early where we got the work in, but we didn't have labor. And I'm like, oh, we can recruit. It wasn't fast enough. And so we actually slowed down the last couple of quarters to build this team up. I have a leadership team. We implemented an EOS system called Traction, did all these cool things to like structure us where we want to be. That makes no sense for where we are right now at our smaller size, but it was important. And then only now are we really opening the gates and accepting more aircraft. And that's a big financial risk and burden to say I'm going to lose money and burn some money to build the company. Whereas most companies would love to just, hey, get the planes and we'll figure it out on the go. I didn't like that. I go, look, if we're trying to scale and do this professionally, we can't learn on the go or be behind the curve. And so that was a big challenge this year was build the team, pause on sales, And then now we're ready for the aircraft we want to work on, which are, Challengers, Citations, and Lears. Or I repeat that all the time. Those are the three we work on because you'll have people come in saying, "What about this? What about this?" And it's easy to be like, "Yeah, we can figure it out, or we're authorized to," but we want to work on the aircraft we're best at to deliver on time. So that's been a crazy year. But last year, yeah, there was so much more to do. This year was it wasn't as clear, so it gets harder every year. But rebuilding the team and then now accepting more aircraft was something that most wouldn't do, but we did it.
Mikaela, I've got a follow-up question for him real quick on that strategy. And so when it comes to, the fact that you've been able to achieve these milestones as quickly as you have, you've been able to, triple the size of your team just this year. Do you feel in any way that building your facilities from scratch with the mechanic in mind first, building the square footage that you did, so having everything new, so that way you could optimize efficiency, you could serve, your in a lot of ways your customer base, which are your employees. Do you think that's helped you scale as quickly as you have?
Oh yeah, and a lot of it's luck, right? I mean, when I was looking for space, there weren't a lot of options. We found a really good partner in Jet Access here at the airport developing something. We found an awesome hidden gem of an airport at Dallas. A lot of it's just luck. I wasn't looking at the airport. I totally forgot about it. And the luck ended up being what's best for the business. And you kind of back into it. So when I go new facility, 40,000 square feet, I don't know if I need that much space day one. So there's some risk there. Most people would say, why don't you start small, Suresh, and slowly go up? I'm like, yeah, but we're trying to scale and target operators. And a lot of our team comes from the operator side of the business, myself included. So to do something professionally at scale, you kind of got to spend and invest it and take some leaps. So we took a leap in the building. And the cool part for our team was it gets them excited. It shows professionally, but it's a very nice, it's like semi-air conditioned. It's a nice setup that makes mechanics feel at home. They're a lot more comfortable. Like we were in an old temporary hangar, and in the Dallas heat, I mean, I can't imagine, even with the best work ethic, how efficient can they be when it's 105 in the hangar? They're in, the hellhole of an aircraft, and I'm sure they can't just wait to go home. So how does that affect quality efficiency? If they're more comfortable, motivated, we have like water, Gatorade breaks, and things like that. But plus, the new facility adds to the work environment, and there's a beautiful view of downtown. So in the morning, they love opening the hangar doors and having coffee. You know, I can prove that definitely helps with motivation, comfort, and for me, that matters when they're on an aircraft for 8, 10 hours a day, and what they're doing. If they want to do it and want to be there, you have to accept that you're probably getting a better quality product, which is the goal.
So I want to loop back to EOS. So are you implementing EOS independently, or have you brought in an integrator to implement that for you?
I did it myself because I've done it before,
Okay.
and I did it early in a business. What triggered me was we grew from 0 to 5 employees to almost 40 something, 40 right now, I think. And I'm like, but I love everyone we've hired. I think the team's amazing, but they've never like played together. We've never worked together. Some of them I've brought from previous experiences, but a lot of them are new. So I look at sports and business pretty in line. So I go, I got this basketball team of stars, but they've never passed the ball to each other. So I go, look, let me implement a really structured system and visibility of how we're doing early. And because I've done it before, I could build it with them from scratch. So they were part of the build, not just me coming in saying, here's what we're doing, here are the scorecards, things like that. They were able to build it with us, and that was kind of the approach we took. But it was really because the team was so new together.
So something we talk about in recruiting is go slow to go fast. And it sounds like for you, you were really kind of having to pull the reins a little bit on your team this past year. You're wanting to sell, but you're recognizing, hey, if we do this, the impact could be pretty significant to the reputation or the team with what they're trying to achieve. How do you feel kind of, we think of it as like right people, right seats, or putting those scorecards in place. How has that helped you be more intentional in that slow, controlled growth?
I mean, right people, right seats. I think we're really good at finding the right people, but there isn't a template that I'm copying that says, every business should have these positions and these roles at this org chart. So we created some of that of like what fits what we're trying to do for our specific customer, the operator. And so that structure certainly helped us frame that. But I think learning from our mistakes early on helped as well, where we try to go too fast. And you're right, like getting an aircraft out late is like against our sole principle of why we started the business. We wanted to treat people right to get the plane out on time in the right way. and then limiting the aircraft we do work on to specialize have been just two big learning things. We've learned fast. We didn't wait. And in our business, in any business, it's easy to say yes to say yes to stuff, to drive revenue. We decided to take a loss and deal with financial pain to build the business the right way, to scale it and actually have an impact on the industry. I think that hopefully 5 years from now, I look back and go, glad we did that. We're killing it on these aircraft. Our scorecards on the aircraft we pivoted to are we've been 100% on time the last quarter. So the numbers tell us we're awesome at what we do right now. We weren't as good as we wanted to be like earlier in the year. And so the numbers, I'm always a numbers person. That's the result.
Do you think that your philosophy, Jet's MRO philosophy of putting people first, do you think that has a direct correlation with those scores, especially in an industry where sometimes, it can be just very operational and technical?
100%. I don't do the work on the aircraft. The mechanics are doing the work on the aircraft. So our whole success is contingent on on the team, on the mechanic team. And so we hire experienced folks who know our specific platforms. And we have pretty cool values. Like we value culture over experience. It's one of our big things. And people who've been in the industry a long time can get offended by that. But I'm like, no, I want to build a team of awesome experienced folks that are here for the team. And that's hard. Sometimes in aviation you get all stars that want to let everyone know they're all stars. That could really negatively affect the team. The team build is so important to the output. If people don't see that, like look at who's doing the actual work on the aircraft. It's not me, it's not management, it's your core team. So how do we set them up for success and really focus on them? Every company says they're people first. I always say, show me how.
So you've recently, there was an article that you talked about women in the workforce, women mechanics, women in maintenance. How do you feel you guys are creating a culture where you'll be able to maybe more easily attract women into your business than some of your competitors?
I think just awareness of like, look, Jets MRO is growing a business that, and one of our values is have fun, don't be an ass. Like we have things like that we really live by. And so for any person, like I want them to be aware that we exist. And we post our pay scales publicly. I've done it on my personal LinkedIn. We've done it. It's on our website. And I'm like, look, transparency. Everyone says they're transparent and honest, but if you have to say it, something's wrong. Go look. If you like our pay scale, 'cause the goal was the mechanics created it to show clear goals of how you get promoted, how do you earn more, what makes a tech two versus tech three. So it's not just competitive pay and we go into negotiation. I don't want to negotiate. If you're a 5-year tech on business jet experience, you go on a chart, it's objective, boom, you make X. If you like that, come to us. So I think we try to do a good job of sharing all those things to make sure it's a good fit for them. And hopefully the result is continuous growth from all backgrounds. And again, recruiting is our number one strength. So I would argue it's everyone else's weakness, and we do really well. And I think that's because we're very open about things, whereas traditionally, I still can't believe I read job postings that say competitive pay and great place to work. We gotta show people so we don't waste their time.
Now, you
Yeah.
commented earlier, as we were having a conversation. Mikaela, do you have a follow-up question on that? I want to make sure I don't cut you off.
No, I think the visibility and transparency, you're walking the walk when you're showing that, right? Like there's nothing behind the curtain. You can
So
see it
what's
right there.
next? Like,
Yeah.
great, I shared our pay scale. I'm like, that was last month's transparency. How do we keep doing it? Right now we're with our customers, we're sharing our scorecard of how our on-time performance is on aircraft because I don't think businesses really address what they're bad at or where they've learned. And I try to share that more because I think it speaks to who we are before what we do. And I really think that's better and what operators in our industry are looking for is like everyone knows what everyone does. We fix airplanes, we do XYZ, we think we're awesome. Yeah, but great. Who we are, I think, is more important. So, what have we learned? What are we trying to do differently? Where do we mess up? How do we address it? And who's your team? Like that is who I try to speak to, so people know who we are before what we do.
Now, you commented earlier, you're a pilot yourself. So how has being a pilot and operating in the cockpit, you know, impacted how you operate and run your company on a day-to-day basis?
Team gets annoyed because I want checklists for everything. That's like easy one. The discipline, though, the funny story why I got my pilot's license, when working with my brother, one of the first clients I was kind of the rep for talk some smack to me. And I was young at the time, and he was like, "You don't understand. You're not a pilot." And my brother was a pilot engineer, and I had to follow in his footsteps. So I got pissed, and I go, "I'm gonna get my pilot's license because it can't be that hard." And like within a year later, I got it, and I go, "Now what? I'm a pilot." But I loved it. I fell in love with it. I love flying. Never flew for work, just for fun or visiting clients or just going out and about. And so I got it out of spite just to prove people wrong at a young age. But I love the discipline. I love being able to understand what my operators go through. And so I try to keep up with it. And yeah, I would love to be able to fly more for fun, but it's hard when you're growing a business. But yeah, purely out of spite, just to say I told you so to someone.
Did you send them a little picture, on your first solo or when you officially got your license?
No, I told him, I go, I got my pilot's license. It wasn't that hard. Great. Now what? You know? And
I
I was
love that.
like again, I guess as people get in careers, you think, do you have to know how to do every detail of the job to lead it? And at smaller companies, yeah, you got to be able to maybe do the work and lead it. But like what we're trying to scale is I can't do a lot of the things my team does in the aircraft, not qualified or comfortable. And I think that's a big failure in industry when people try to do the job and lead it because it leads to micromanaging and all that. And so I don't want to do it. I want to lead better, and I think it teaches you how to lead. And but at the time, didn't make me any better of a service provider for that customer. But they thought it would just because I knew how to do the job. And so I think that's probably an overall business issue. Is like, do you need to be talking to the person that always makes the sausage, or is there a balance there?
Well, I know you mentioned recently on LinkedIn, and if people watching this are not following Suresh on LinkedIn, highly recommend it because I just love the candor, if you will, in your posts. You talked about I was on vacation, and like many entrepreneurs, you're not really on vacation because you're checking emails, you're hopping on calls. So, how are you in this season of life? You're growing a business. How are you balancing this visionary side where you're setting the 1, 3, 10 year targets? How are you balancing that with the day to day challenges and complexities that come with running a repair station?
I think the reality is for anyone starting a business or being in leadership is there is no work-life balance. You work harder to shelter your team and protect them, and you want to give them work-life balance. If you don't want to sign up for that, don't do it. And so I didn't sign up to be an entrepreneur or an owner because I can set my own schedule because you're working 7 days a week. However, there's a lot of benefit that I love in terms of like my family. Like I'm not losing time with my family. There's been previous jobs where I didn't control my schedule where I was gone a lot. Like in this job, when we welcome kids in the office over the summer, my 7-year-old was with me in the office every other week. I don't want to spend money on camps. My dad brought me to the office to save money. I'm finding out after it was because he wanted to save money. I thought he wanted to hang out with me, but no. And so we find ways, right? And the fact that yeah, I could leave right now and go golf if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I always look at it like good leaders and entrepreneurs. You got to know what you're signing up for. And my goal is I want to do as much as I can to help my team so they can have work-life balance because they're not the owners or founders. I signed up for it. I got to bear the highest burden for them so they can do it. So that's why I never not pick up or call someone back. I'll take trips, and it's really important that I do go do things with my family. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to look back, and I may be proud that I built a business, but I'm always going to put family first and be more proud of how much time I spent with our kids. I would say in this job with Jets MRO, growing it, I've had the best and most time with family. It's been stressful, but I think done a good job of bringing them into the business or having my son in summers like come with me. It was super cool and unique because most you probably couldn't do that in most businesses. You find a creative way because you kind of set the rules too. So if you make it a priority, it will happen. And I think that's the benefit of being an entrepreneur. But those that pick one or the other, it's not a one or the other. It's not absolute. So, but it takes some thought and really intentional engagement and disengagement during certain times to get it right, personal versus work.
So, with your dad bringing you into the shop at a young age, I imagine, I know at least my father, he would have given me a wrench, showed me what to do, and been getting free labor out of me. Are you already teaching the kiddos how to turn a wrench and help you out there?
So Ace 7, he comes and asks a lot of our team members for jobs so he can clock in on them and say he helped. whether it's like printing out pictures for our wall. He wrote every technician here individual nice thank you note. I'll show you one he wrote for me, just like it's on my desk. So he wrote this for the team. I don't know if you can read it,
Yeah,
That's
that's
but
cool.
awesome.
it says, "Good luck. You're amazing. You mean a lot to Suresh." It was for the team, but he wrote an individual one with everyone's name. I gave him a roster, and so he found ways to engage, and he thought it was super cool. And like I didn't have to make him do it, and so we got lucky. I mean, he loves being around aircraft. He thought it was really neat. And our youngest, I can't wait till he comes with me a couple times to work. So it just depends. But our other employees bring children here too, and I love seeing that. I think it's just neat to say you can do that. It's okay. We keep them off the hangar floor and have rules around it. But it's our business. Let's make it the way we want it to be. That makes sense. And putting the mechanic first is sometimes giving them those options.
Now you're one of the most active people I have ever come across, and I say that as the ultimate compliment. I mean, you are involved in so many different ways. I mean, you're heading to, I think you said DC here to speak at an FAA conference. I've seen quoted in all different types of publications this year. You're active in YoPro. You're active on the board, I think, of the Frontier Flight Museum. I mean, you're running a business, you're traveling for all these engagements, you're active on boards, you're a father, you're a husband. There's only 24 hours in the day. How are you finding all this time?
I posted this morning on LinkedIn. There's always another gear. And I think one of my like personal values is just relentless at success. And so I try to meet new people every day. I love hearing other experiences, but I love adding value. I don't like meeting people because I think I can get anything out of them. I actually love meeting people and trying to help them before I ever ask for something. And then when I need something, they have resources where I ask questions. And the biggest thing is helping others for me or adding value, or even like through this, if someone can get one piece of information that helps them be more motivated, work a little harder, like that's cool. And so I think it's like a sincere want to give back. But it's selfish too because it's an aviation. It's specific. It's not just I donate my time. I just love it naturally. But I'm also relentless at success. If you told me you're going to work 10 hours, I'll work 12. If you say you're going to work 12, I'm going to go 15. I won't stop. And so the biggest thing is I don't think I can be beat by work ethic because I control that. I can outwork anyone, whether it's wrong or right. I always just keep trying to stay involved and active. But a lot of it too is I love meeting other people and learning from different experiences. It really helps. And yeah, at the end, it helps in career, but that's not the intent at all. It just happens to be the byproduct of just trying to help others and connect.
So, on that note of trying to help others, for you, when you think about all the positions that exist within aviation, because maintenance is somewhat behind the scenes until you're in the system. What advice or what would you share with someone who's considering getting into the field? Like inspiring them to just take that first step. What would you tell them they should know first before getting into aviation, and particularly before getting into maintenance in aviation?
So the ones that like I think are successful in maintenance have a secondary passion for aviation or using their hands. So they didn't get into it because there was a need. There's a lot of pilots who follow the pilot route because they saw a high paying demand type thing. The industry guided them. I think aviation, I always say, what's your secondary passion for aviation? How you connect to the industry? Do you serve in the military? Do you have parents around it? That's super important. I would say if they have that passion, like real connection to it, double down on it because I think they'll be successful. If not, they're gonna get burnt out, not like it, and it won't last. It won't be a long term like career for them. It'll just be another job. And so I say, just make sure you're ready for it because it is hard. And I appreciate mechanics, but it's a hard job. And like a lot of the guys we have love building stuff, whether it's like cars and something non-aviation, but they like using their hands. A lot of them pilots, a lot of them love aviation, being around aircraft. And like when I show up to work every day, it's like a game day for me. It's like, man, this is fun. I get to show up with airplanes and like this is my job. So it's more than just a job. So when you find that where it's a little more than just a job, even though a lot of our mechanics, it's okay. They want to come home, go home, spend time with their family. That's all right. That's great. But you want to show up to work. I think it's cool when you're on an aircraft or going on a test flight and have those smiles that matter. Then it's so much more rewarding than just showing up.
So, you highlighted earlier on that, you can work on any type of aircraft, but you've really honed in and specialized on Learjets, on Citations, on Challengers, both on the pre-inspection side as well as, the routine maintenance. For an organization, an operator, or even an individual that's considering one of those airframes, what would you say they should look out for? How can Jets MRO help them? Kind of share some of your thoughts there.
One, I think MRO should specialize. You can't be good at everything, especially in biz jet. I think it's a very immature space from the technical space. There's a lot of tribal knowledge. You got to know where to look. You get to know common issues on aircraft, and they're all very different, right? And I think specializing for us helped, and the numbers show it. Like we've been, I think, 88% on time on Learjets, 100% on time on Challengers, citations too, the last quarter on big projects. And like the numbers say, we're like, it's telling us we're good at this, but we weren't as good on Hawkers. We were in the red. We couldn't deliver them on time to the standard we want. That tells us we suck at them. Like we got to use the numbers to like be honest with ourselves of what we're good at and what we're not. And I think that's super important. So I would say, for people too that don't know who we are and try to get to know us, it's good to tell the story of why we started the business, what we're trying to do differently, not to be self-righteous, but to say, look, do you really believe that a good mechanic team who knows your aircraft can produce a better product? If you don't believe that, then we're not a good fit for you. And if it's just budget driven, we're not a good fit for you. We're competitive, but the team is what I try to let shine. So when customers come here, and I encourage people to come visit, because I think when you think MRO, you think, old hangar, it's like a mess. I'm like, no, come see the facility, how it's professionally organized, and then meet the team that actually does the hard work, and then make your determination. And then ask us for our scorecard. Don't take our word for it. If I tell you I'm awesome at Hawkers, I'd be lying to you. If you ask me for a scorecard, I'm be like, crap, it's all red. If you ask me about a Challenger 300 or 601, I'm going to say, here it is. It's green. And I've shared them. I've snapped our scorecards and go, here they are. And now we're getting a lot of references from other folks who have had good experiences with us. We get like gifts and things when you get planes on early. So it's neat to see that positive side. But for folks who, I I don't think I think maintenance has a lot of room to improve. I love our other MRO providers. A lot of them help me all the time. But I think as an industry, not every operator is saying maintenance is awesome. Suresh, we don't need any other options. I think they're saying, hey, depending on what aircraft you're at, here are the ones doing it right consistently. And that includes transparency, sales cycle, billing, quality of product, and just the relationship. And I think we need more of that because the demands are far outweighing capacity. And then in the capacity we do have, I think there's a lot of room to improve.
So, as you look 5 years ahead, what's your vision for Jets MRO? Where do you see your company going and your role being in the industry as you continue to shape things?
5 years, so we have a clear path. We should by then either have or be almost done with our second hangar at the airport. Our goal is to expand at this airport because there's so much room to grow. With the partners we have here, it'd be foolish to go anywhere else. We might do another acquisition. We did one last year. We might look at acquiring other MROs and going that route. Because I think for entrepreneurs or owner operators who want to make that step, we're a good fit for them. I mean, and we'll protect their team. And those are the things I know are important to entrepreneurs and owners. So I see us doing another acquisition, but hopefully growing, hitting 100 mechanics and having like a really good retention rate and measurably saying we did what we said we were going to do and we started the business and we didn't lose who we were just to be a better, more profitable business. Money will be the byproduct of really focusing on all these other intangibles.
Now, before we wrap up, and I appreciate your time today, you've hit on some great things. I mean, Jets MRO doing a lot of different things in the space, the way that you're recognizing people first, the way you're building out your facilities. And I think just the transparency that you highlighted a moment ago about like, hey, if you've got a hawker, that's not our jam. But if you've got these other things, we're exceptional at them, right? And so, when you're thinking about Jets MRO, your personal mission, what's one more thing or one other thing that you'd really like people to know about you?
I want them to come visit. Like I'm telling you, I think in people's heads, when I'm like, hey, and we're not new anymore, but we're a new business. They're like, great, like another MRO. Like I think people are burnt out and not as positive about maintenance. And I'm like, no, it can be exciting, fun. Come check it out. We have the Commander Air Force Museum at our airport. Let's go for a ride in a B-29. Like let's make it fun again, so it's not such a bear. And so I want to make that experience just better and less negative. I think it's a lot of degrees of negative. Instead, I want it to be like the commercial space. I think we talk on maintenance, a lot of degrees of excellence. In BizJet, it's like how do we be less bad? You get what I'm saying? And I'm like, okay, that's not good either. It's how do we get from here to here, not how do we not be worse? And
Mhm.
so I'm trying to hopefully fix that and get some more confidence behind the industry. But I think it starts with the people, make sure we attract good talent and just delivering on that, maybe to give someone a light at the end of the tunnel so maintenance isn't so painful for everyone.
So, people wanting to come visit, they need to hit you up. Where can listeners connect with you to learn more about Jets MRO or to maybe come by and scout out your facility?
Just go to jetsmro.com or hit me up on LinkedIn. I try to respond to everything. And or if you're in the area, just come say hi. We're at Dallas Executive Airport, and they'll let you in. Monday through Sunday, we're here, and come check it out. It's a fun visit if you like to be around aircraft and just meet the team. And we always try to say hi to all our visitors.
Well, I know we're coming out there ourselves at the end of September. Looking forward to it, checking out the facility. Can't wait to see what you and the team have built. Suresh, thanks so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed this conversation. And we'll see you ready next time. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.